We have a couple of facts here from your. We asked this of frequent celebrity guests who have as large a credit role as you do. Rob Reiner, the true or celebrity, true or false.
Taciturn.
Yes, exactly. I want to ask you if these are true or false facts.
Yeah.
We did this with Lawrence Fishburne last week.
Okay.
True or false? You co-wrote the first episode of Happy Days.
Well, yes, my name is on it, but it was my writing partner, Phil Mishkin, who was writing an episode. It was taken from Love American Style,
right.
And then he adapted it, and so we were working as a team together. And he did the first episode.
So you had something to do with the first.
Well,
episode
yeah,
of Happy Days.
I think there were certain characters we had. Ralph Malph, though, was a character that we made.
You created?
Well, I mean, the name. I don't know. Donnie Mose.
Was it somebody in your life?
It was in Phil's life.
Okay.
That he knew somebody like that.
All right. True or false? While filming the train scene in Stand By Me, you wanted Will Wheaton and Jerry O'Connell to look more frightened, so you screamed at them until they cried. Is that a true story?
Well, I didn't scream at them. What happened was they would, we set up the camera in such a way that they would be off the track before the train even got there. Because it was a long lens. It was like a 600 millimeter lens. So it looked like the train was right on top of them, but they were so far away that they didn't feel like anything was happening, So they'd run, and they were like running. I said, no, guys, there's a train right up, that's going to kill you. And they'd run again. And I said, and meanwhile, there's guys pulling a dolly, the camera all the way down the tracks like this.
Yeah.
And they're getting, and it's hot, and they're getting, I said, you guys, because of you guys, these guys are exhausted. They can't, because of you, and you not crying. And I was like that, and then they went, like this, and then they started, and they cried. And then they were excited. They said, we did it.
Then you hugged it out.
I
right?
did hug him, yeah.
Okay, you hugged it out. And then, interestingly enough, because last time you were here, you talked about how you tweaked part of the idea of the story, and Stephen King loved it from Stand By Me.
Well, yeah, that happened with at the end, because I had made Gordy the focus of the film. I mean, he was just an observer as one of the four, but when we made him the focus. Actually, one of my writing partners, Andy Scheinman, says, "What if Gordy picks up the gun?" Because it was supposed to be Chris when the boys and the older boys and the younger boys meet at the body, and he had him pick up the gun. And Stephen King saw that. He said, I should have thought of that. It was so much better having Gordy pick up the gun than Chris.
Did you tweak anything in Misery?
Well, yeah. I mean, we did. I mean, in the original, in the book, I hate to say it, she actually cuts his foot off with an axe. So if you think you don't want to watch it again with the sledgehammer, imagine an axe.
So do you have a problem with the fact that he left Misery off of our poll question because he thinks that it's a film that folks might not want to keep revisiting?
No, I'm surprised he left North out of the poll question. North was the one movie. I mean, I liked it. It was a cute little fable.
Right.
But when it was reviewed, Roger Ebert said about North, I hated this movie. 7 hated. 7 hated.
So you left it off.
You left it off.
What is the poll question results?
Okay, well, I'm wondering what Rob's answered. What's the favorite Rob Reiner directed movie? A Few Good Men, Princess Bride, Spinal Tap, Stand By Me. What's your favorite?
I mean, it's hard for him, as we say, we love all our children.
Yeah, but life's about choices.
But I mean,
Rob.
the one that means the most to me was Stand By Me.
Why is that?
Because it was the first time I had made a movie that I felt was reflective of my personality, my sensibility. It had a mixture of kind of melancholy and humor and nostalgia. And I was the first time I had done a movie that was far away from anything my father would have done. I mean, Spinal Tap was a satire, and my father, obviously trafficked in satire with Show of Shows and all that. And then they did Sure Thing, which was a romantic comedy, and he had done those kind of things. So this was the first time I was kind of going in a direction that was purely something out of my personality.
And it is true that that's your mom in the scene in Harry Met Sally.
And when Harry Met Sally, yes, I'll have what she's having. That line is the funniest line of any movie that I've ever done, and Billy Crystal wrote that line. He wrote that line, and I love the fact that AFI, they always have the top bunch of lines. And that's right in there with Frankly, My Dear, I Don't Give a Damn, Clark Gable and Louis, this could be the beginning of a beautiful, so it's got, Humphrey Bogart and Clark Gable, and then there's Estelle Reiner in there.
Was it your idea to cast your mom in that?
Yes, yes. I knew that we needed an older Jewish woman at a deli, and I said, she had done a couple little parts and other things. I said, Ma, I call her up, and I said,
Right.
you want to do this? She said, okay. I said, you got the last line, and if it doesn't top the scene, if it doesn't get the big laugh at the end, I
Right.
could wind up cutting it. I just want to let you know. She says, all right, I don't mind. I'll just come and hang around.
And then she nailed it.
She did nail it.
She stuck the landing.
She did nail it.
How do you get James Caan? I mean, obviously he's a genius actor. You mentioned Godfather as well. I mean, the face that he gets when he's hobbled in Misery.
Yeah.
And you're just so tight on that.
Yeah, I just told him you're not going to get paid this week.
That worked out. Right?
No. He's a great actor. I mean, he's a great actor.
Right.
Every day he would come to the set, and I would say, "Okay, now Jimmy, in this scene, you're in bed." He was in bed every scene. He kept waiting for me to say something really brilliant about what he should be doing with the character. I just said, "You're in bed."
You're in bed.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was the 29th anniversary of the first airing of Seinfeld yesterday.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I know that your Castle Rock.
Castle Rock. Yeah, we
Andy
produced it.
Scheinman is another fellow.
Yeah,
who was part of
Andy
that
was
too.
involved. Yeah, we produced the show. Yeah.
So how were you introduced to that idea? Did you have a meeting with Jerry? Or
no,
what
happened was we had another pilot, actually a show that lasted 13 weeks called Past Imperfect, and Howie Mandel. Jerry came in to audition for it, and we wound up going with Howie Mandel. The show lasted 13 weeks and went off. But then Jerry came back with Larry David, said, we have an idea for a show, and they pitched this idea, and then we decided to go with that.
Was it a show about nothing? Was that the pitch?
Well,
was that the actual pitch?
No, it was a show about a stand-up comedian and his life in New York and his friend Kramer across the way, and that was the idea, but I mean, it got to be a show about nothing because at the first few episodes it was not plot heavy.
Right.
And they were going to cancel the show because they, the head of the network says, I'm not going to I can't watch a show about people sitting around waiting for a table at a Chinese restaurant. You got to have some stories. So I said, please, if you're going to cancel it. I begged with them. I said, please keep it on. It's going to be the best show you've ever had, blah, blah, blah. And so then I had to convince Larry. And Larry at first was a little reluctant, Larry David. But then he got into loving the idea of stories. And if you look at, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, he's got 3-4 storylines all intertwining.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.